All right. Well, hey, thank you everybody for joining us tonight. It's our fourth edition of the Gerber Scout Camp Reservation webinar. Looks like we've got just about 18 folks on tonight. I'm sure that there'll be more to join us here shortly. I did put everyone on mute. If you joined by phone, you need to hit *6 to unmute yourself to talk. But I would encourage everyone to try and utilize for those that are on a computer, I'd ask you to. There's a chat option, and I'll send everybody a message here real quick. I'll just say test. That you'll see a little orange box pop up, and that's what I like to use on these to help share comments or questions or whatever. So if you do have a question throughout the time, just type in the little chat box that I have a question or I have a comment, or if you'd like to share your question, you can do it that way too. But I'll probably call on you to ask it just so that everybody can make sure that for those that are on the phone can hear your question as well. So tonight we're going to talk about a few things. We're going to talk about positions that we still have open. We're going to talk about a little bit about the pre-order activity for some items. We're going to talk about the advancement and work that we've been trying to do on the trading post to make that a little bit better since it didn't rate so well last year. We're going to talk about the adult training opportunities that we'll have throughout the week for folks, some service opportunities that are out there. I'm going to ask a little bit of a group chat about Shakedown and how you work as a troop to organize before you get here. So that's going to be a two-way conversation, hoping that folks will kind of share some of their best practices on what you do before you get to camp. We're going to talk a little bit about prerequisites and the reporting features that they have on the Black Pug site so that you can get familiar with that. We're going to talk a little bit about pre-camp tours and opportunities for provisional scouts to come to camp outside of with just your troop. So again, thank you. My name's Ryan Creech. I'm the reservation director for the Gerber Scout Reservation this year. We'll start off with talking about some of the available positions. We've had some things happen where our aquatics director that we had locked in had ended up having some things happen with his family, and he's not able to work with us this summer. So I'm trying to find someone that's over 21 that has a lifeguard experience and interested and willing to run the beach. So if anybody that's on the call has any folks that have a lifeguard certification and a history of good leadership and strong aspects to run our beach this summer, please help me to spread the word that we're looking for those positions. We're also looking for a few more lifeguards on the beach. There's still 3 positions open. A lot of our program areas have still only 1 spot left. You know, a lot of them are positions that we technically don't need to fill, but we're still kind of keeping them out there in case we find some really awesome scouts to step into those roles. Another one of the more impactful positions that we're trying to identify is our health officers. Our health officers, since we're so close to emergency response, they need first aid certification and CPR and a strong attitude and a good leadership capabilities as well. So if anybody knows any RNs that work in the schools that have the summers off and are willing to possibly come up and work for us during the summer, that would be great. Along with our food service, we're still looking for a director and some cooks. We reached out to the schools in the local area. A lot of the food service directors in the public schools are still working to help us try and identify some of their staff that might be interested and willing to work with us this summer. But if anybody has any works in any schools or knows of any lunch moms or what have you that work that do this a lot, please direct them my way. We're still trying to wrap up that team. And on the Cub side, all we're short is an assistant area director, someone who's over the age of 18 that can help run Crockett's Challenge, the baby gun archery area. They have to be 18 because they're running the range. So those are a few of our positions. Again, if you have questions or comments or want to chime in, if you're on the phone, you're going to need to press *6 to unmute yourself. I have put everybody on mute. If you're on the computer, there's a little microphone in the bottom in the control bar that you can mute or unmute yourself. And if you'd like to ask a question, just go ahead and type in the chat box that, hey, this is Mary, I have a question, or this is Lauren, I have a question, and I'd be happy to call on you. Next up, I'd like to talk about our pre-order activities. So this year we've got a few different things that we're testing out, and I hope that everybody's looking into them. Under the registration in the Black Bug system, there's a little thing at the top left corner under each of the participants, and it's a trading post where you can click a little chevron, and it drops down a little box and asks you if you'd like to purchase a t-shirt for your scout or your adult or what have you. T-shirts will basically be delivered that when you arrive at camp in a bag, so that all your scouts will have the summer camp t-shirt right then when they walk in the door. It's kind of nice because you can pay for them before you get to camp, and you don't have to worry about making sure that we have enough in stock. The other thing is that each of the shirts have a little place to write on the shirt your troop number and the week that you were at camp. So that's kind of cool. The troop photos this year, we're working to try and identify, trying to streamline this as well. So instead of coming into the office on Monday when you get to camp and trying to bring a check from your treasurer and all that jazz, under the adult registrations on the Black Bug system, you can select to identify how many troop photos you'd like to purchase as a troop. This way we know before you get to camp that you'd like those. You pay for them before you get to camp as well. Both of these items are a reduced rate, purchasing them prior to camp. So the t-shirts are like $3 off, and the troop photos are about the same. So to help save you some time and some energy, it might be beneficial to think about that or talk about that with your unit, and go in there and do that. Each of the individuals have ability to order up to 2 shirts. I think it's 2 shirts per person. So you can't go in and just do one bulk order for your unit. You've got to do it by registrant. So, but again, that's something new we're trying this year. We just want to test it out and see how it works, and hopefully everybody's excited about it. As far as the trading post goes, we've been working to try and reconfigure how the trading post operates. So I've got a couple of short little videos here. You can see on the left-hand side. This is a video from the far corner inside the trading post. You can see that we kind of moved. We moved things around. There used to be 2 ice cream coolers over here. We moved this rack over here. That's where all of our merit badge books will be. So that way, when the scouts first come in, they can, pick up any merit badge books that they don't have or don't need. There'll be a ice cream cooler for ice cream bars or what have you. You'll notice that that the shelving that used to run along here, we moved all the display cases back between the walls, between the 2 doors, so that way when you come in, instead of a couple of giant pop coolers, the counter will be there, and you can look at items, and there'll be a cash register and a staff member right there to help you with all your needs. And out on the floor here, we'll have tons of merchandise. These shirt racks may change to some display units, but we're still working on it. And again, it's just trying to, oops, sorry, I went to the wrong slide. Trying to work to make it better and cleaner and much more customers friendly for all of you. You'll notice that now you'll be able to walk all along the wall, and there'll be merchandise hanging up all along the walls. And instead of having to ask a staff member to to grab you something behind the wall, you can just go and shop and peruse and grab it yourself. Here's another video from a different angle. You'll see that that we moved those pop machines back here in the back room so that again, all the pop candy and all that activity. If anybody's familiar with Gerber, there's the two giant windows that are on the side of the trading post. We're going to utilize those for any pop candy, slushies, chips, all that. All the food activity is going to go through those windows, and we're looking to figure out a way to not utilize this space, this bar here, but keep all of the general merchandise inside the store, general merchandise sales, and the windows used for the pop and candy. Now, that's really going to help us because, you know, I remember visiting last summer and I'd go in and I'd want to buy a t-shirt and I had to stand in line for 10, 20 minutes before I could get to the cash register because there was such a long line of people buying pop and candy and what have you. So hopefully by moving things around, that'll help us to reduce that flow and make it more customer friendly. You'll see here, we moved one of the ice machine or the ice cream bar machine chests over closer to this door. We'll probably be selling some ice in a bag out of that. So if you need ice for your troop or what have you, we'll have that available. And again, all the merchandise up on the wall and lots of more space to peruse and see different things that are going on. You can see here the counter where the cash register will be, and one of our staff will be here to work and serve each and everybody that comes into the store. So I just wanted to highlight that and give you everybody an update that we are working to make things better for the trading posts, make them more convenient, make them more customer friendly. We met with the National Supply. We're going to be trying to bring in a lot more things that you would need, like, for instance, we were talking about if anybody's familiar with camp, you know, there are mosquitoes, and we're looking to try and get things like these. It's a mosquito net that goes over your bunk, so that if you forget that or you don't have something, you can pick it up there at camp. And so here's some of the items that we're looking to share. You'll see that I'm wearing one of this green, it's a ripstop, nice long sleeve shirt, kind of a workman's shirt. And that's this green one right here, the second one over. We're looking to bring in some better merchandise for everybody. We got a hoodie and a camouflage t-shirt that's Trust Me, I'm a Scout. We're bringing back the hoodie t-shirt and a new hat and some mugs that are they'll be each of them will be for a different area. So if you have an area that you really like aquatics or cope and climbing or environmental science or the aero, what have you, you can purchase one of these mugs, and inside of it will probably be a card that kind of like a free refill card, where you can get free refills of slushies or pop or what have you, and another way to see some of that and make that happen. So Brian Bohr, you have a question.
Yeah, I was looking at Eagle Quest when I went to register, and it looked like it was in 3 different sections this year. Are they going to be going over everything in each section like they have in the past, or are they going to only focus on those things?
That's a great question. I'll put that down, and I'll make sure that we cover that towards the end. The Eagle Quest program schedule. All right. Any other questions about the trading post or suggestions or things that people noticed last year that you feel like you want to get off your chest and share with us while we prepare and make it better for this summer? Seeing none, I'll move on. The next thing I want to talk about were all the training opportunities. So if you had your leader's guidebook, on page 11, you'll see that there are a bunch of different training opportunities for adults, and this year we're trying to move some of that stuff around. So obviously you'll see safe swim defense, safety afloat will be offered at the aquatics area Wednesday from 2 to 3:30. Climb on safety will be offered Monday at 2 p.m. at the climbing tower. Introduction to outdoor leadership skills. This used to be offered at the commissioners area up at Tryon. We're moving that down to the Eagle Quest area because that way you can learn it right along the side with the scouts, and might be able to help us teach some of those skills and get some better practice and better knowledge of how that works. So there'll be 2 sessions with that. You can either come every day from 9 to 11, or you can come from 2 to 4. And I might as well cover that a little bit about the Eagle Quest program schedule. So last year that program ran for a 3-hour chunk in the morning, and this year we tried to break it out and have 2 sessions so that kids could either do it in the AM or the PM, and work on the different, practice the different requirements from 9 to 11 or 2 to 4. Now, a couple of days they may have to spend a little bit more time and make up for like the hike that they do and what have you, but we should be able to work that all out with merit badge counselors in the different areas and whatnot. Now you're curious as to, in the schedule, it's sectioned out by tenderfoot, second class, and first class. And the reason for that is that we're really trying to make sure that these kids have a better understanding and can really learn and be stronger with the materials that they're trying to learn. So each of the different requirements are broken out by day and by the 2-hour chunk, and by class. So a bunch of leaders had asked me, well, what if my scout signs up for tenderfoot in the morning and second class in the afternoon? And I just reminded him that that's great. You might want to just have him do the one, and if he ends up getting done with something else, he can work on some of the other stuff. But the best bet is to just practice the 2 hours, and then that way it frees him up to participate in a few more merit badge and have a better experience. Is it Claver has a question?
Yeah. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, wondering, we had a couple leaders interested in taking the Aquatic Supervisor training at Waterfront, and wondering if that was something you guys were going to offer.
Aquatic Supervisor training. So we're offering safe swim defense and safety afloat. I'm not familiar.
Yeah, those are online trainings that we can do. We were looking for the little more in-depth supervisor training.
I'm not familiar with that, but I'll look into it.
Okay. Yeah, it's shy of lifeguard training, but it lets you lead waterfront outings.
It's swimming and water rescue, I believe, is what it's specified as training-wise.
What was that, Brian?
Close to.
It's swimming and water rescue, I believe. I got it last year at camp. It's something you guys have offered in the past.
All right, I will look into it. That's I appreciate you bringing that up, and I'll look into it and let you guys know on the next webinar in May what I found. Great question. Paul Connor has a question about ILS.
Yeah, Ryan, I have a parent that is going to be the chaperone with his son at Eagle Quest. Can he do ILS at the same time as he's helping with Eagle Quest? Do those work together?
Absolutely, yeah.
All right,
yep.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yep. See, that's kind of the method to the madness, is that, if they're already doing this stuff, why not put them down there and help them help them put that teaching to practice, and make it happen. So, John Miller, you had a question. You're muted, John.
Yeah, I know. I was looking around for the right thing. I was confirming that we would be able to have a troop swimming merit badge counselor do the swim test prior to coming to camp.
Absolutely.
To speed that
all
process.
that information, I can bring it up here. If you look under
Is that in the?
if you look under Outdoor Adventures and you go down to forms and resources.
Yep.
And as my computer's slow, I'll bring it up.
That's okay.
Right down. Unit. Oops. Where'd it go? Right here, unit swim classification record. I believe that's it.
All righty. We'll use that.
So part of this is you have to have it, you have to do it, and then you have to send it to Jay Richardson, who is the council aquatics chair.
Okay.
And here's the information, complete the form, send it to MCC Aquatics Chair at 137 South Market Boulevard. I would also, it might be smart to, when you send this, to scan it and email a copy to Joe Singerling, our office manager, just so that we have a copy on file in case it gets lost in mail or something like that. It's always good to have a backup, and also, kind of like the buddy system, you always want to have a buddy or send it to a buddy or what have you. So that's out there on the website for you to utilize.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. All right. So
What's the lead time on that?
I would try and have that all squared away by June 1st if you can.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. So that way we have enough time to get it to Jay and get it back to camp and what have you. So Gerber University. So this is a program that we've been running for a number of years at the commissioners area. That's an all-week kind of activity. You work on it as you go along. Scoutmaster specific will run on Tuesdays from 2 to 4. They'll again be at the commissioners area. On Fridays from 2 to 4, we're going to have an Iron Chef Challenge where basically it's a Dutch oven cook-off with a select ingredient that's provided by the camp. So be prepared for that. If you forget your Dutch oven, I might have a few for sale in the trading post that you can use. Paddle craft safety will be offered Monday through Friday from 9 to 10:30 each day. Introduction to conservation and scouting. This is going to be a really neat course. Every time we take our kids out in the woods, it's a great opportunity to do a little bit of training and education. And the whole point of this training piece is to expand those opportunities while you're out in the woods with your kids. I'm working to try and get the DNR to come up each week and help share some of the resources and things that they do. Trying to get went and talked to Trout Unlimited to get some materials that they may have to expand, other opportunities with conservation and what have you. But this is going to be kind of new and neat, and I would encourage you to participate in it because, being out in the woods with the kids and my history as a recreation outdoor education major, I think it's always the greatest place to help kids learn about the world that we live on and the ways to respect it and conserve it and make sure it's there for the future. Every day at 2 o'clock is the Roundtable opportunity where basically you can learn some neat new things, find out some information about things that are going on outside of the summer camp program, discuss and share opportunities and things that you're struggling with as a unit, and kind of get some feedback. And then lastly, this Gerber puzzle. So I don't know how many of you know Eddie, who's worked for us for a number of years. Last year he worked in the kitchen. He's got a speech impediment, and he's been working the last couple of years on this Gerber puzzle piece thing, where it's going to go through the scout lawn, and you got to do a number of things to get the pieces of the puzzle. But it's going to be like a 4-year program, and this will be the first year that we'll be rolling that out. Again, I'm kind of giving him the intent and opportunity to build something himself as a staff member, and so you'll probably have to work with us to make sure that, or to better understand it. I don't have all the full details on it, but it's going to be pretty neat, and I hope that everybody takes a look at it and checks it out. Are there any questions about the training opportunities at camp during the summer? Brian?
No, I just put up a link to the swimming and water rescue so that people could look
Oh,
at that.
wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you, sir. Kim.
Hi, how are you?
Wonderful.
So I have a question. I had sent some information to some of my scouts, prerequisites that were printed in the guidebook.
Sure.
And then when I printed the report that's titled Prerequisites by Scout,
Okay.
it didn't match 100%. They were all in the ballpark, but then I sent the second information, and now I'm getting questions from people which ones should be followed.
Okay, so you're saying that the prerequisites from the report out of the system are incorrect.
That is what I'm saying.
Okay.
Well, there's a difference between the two documents.
Okay. Between the leader's guidebook and the stuff in the system. All right, I will double check to make sure on all that, and again, I'll cover that in our next bring that back up in our next webinar.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for bringing it to our attention. I would say that the prerequisites that are inside the leader's guide are pretty accurate. There may be some things that may look off, like for instance, canoeing talks about CPR can be completed at home. That was an error on our part from a cut and paste from last year. But we'll get talking here to prerequisites in just a minute. Brian, thanks again for sharing those links on the Palcraft and the other activities. Move on to service opportunities. So currently, this is a list of all the troops that have adopted a campsite, which is phenomenal. This seemed to really expand this since November. We had a handful of units that have adopted a campsite, and now we have almost all of them full. So right now, as far as I know, Ojibwa and Sagittarius are the only two campsites that are not currently adopted. I don't know, Jerry, would you be able to help provide any information in regards to? I noticed that Gemini is both Troop 130 and Crew 2125. Is there opportunity for units for more than one unit to adopt a campsite? Jerry Keist? Looks like Jerry hasn't joined us by audio. But I'll find out about that. There are two campsites that are open for adopting. Basically, what it entails is cleanup of all the platforms, clean the leaves and under the tent all around the campsite, remove sticks and debris, clean out around the fire ring, make sure that's ready to go so the kids can have some pretty awesome fires in them this summer. Stain the fire ring and benches if needed, build new fire ring benches if needed, build a message board if it's needed, clean cobwebs and basically clean out all the campsite restrooms, make sure that those are all shining and ready to go, clean off the roof if there's any branches or debris laying on the roof of the latrine or the campsite restroom, stain and the exterior of the campsite restroom if it's needed. Some of them have been, most of them are in pretty good shape. There may be one or two that may need some paint or whatever. If there's any of the picnic tables that need repairs or fixes, help fix those. If you can, set up the tents and tarps in the site if you come close enough to the opening of camp. I know Charlie doesn't really like to have those tents put up too far in advance, but if your troop's willing to do that, it really helps us with preparing the staff and training them during the staff training week instead of spending our entire time setting up the camp. Basically, what you do for getting this is you get a sign on the campsite that says that your troop XYZ adopted this campsite. So that you can showcase that and everybody sees that. Free campsite weekend anytime between mid-April and the end of May to give service to the site. This is a great opportunity. I know a lot of units that do this. They use that as an opportunity to bring up all their scouts and take them around the camp and give them a tour of camp and talk about, all right, well, here's the handicraft area, and any of those of you that have these merit badges, this is where this will be. And it just helps prepare those scouts to be familiar with camp and what's out there and know what's going on. So and during the summer, if things work out and the numbers are just right, well, that would be your campsite for the week. Most of the time this happens. There's only a few chances that it may not. Depending on the size of the week. Like for instance, week 2, it's really kind of a struggle trying to fit. It's like a Tetris puzzle, trying to fit all the different units of different sizes into the right campsite so that everybody is comfortable and enjoying themselves. Any questions about the Adopt a Campsite program? If so, just put a little message in the chat box. Well, while we're waiting for any questions, I would say that if your troop hasn't been aware, the Early Arrows Spring Conclave at Gerber is happening May 17th through the 19th. The registration is open online. I would encourage you to promote that in your troop and get your airmen signed up and participate in the Spring Conclave so that way not only do they have an opportunity to provide service, but they have an opportunity to be involved in the lodge and get excited about this summer. During the week of summer camp, every Thursday is when we do our ordeal service work and brotherhood work. So if any of the airmen that come, any adults that want to participate in that and help Charlie out, kind of be an assistant on those days, it'd be nice to provide that service. Not saying you have to, but just want to make sure you're aware of it. Any other questions on service opportunities? Okay. Next, I'd kind of like to open this to be a more group conversation. I know every troop does their shakedown and preparations for camp a little bit different. I will highlight that in the leader's guide on page 24 and 25, there's some basic things. So like basically from now until June, some of the things that you want to do is make sure that all of your scouts and parents have the final camp info, like, you know, when they're leaving, when they're going, all that kind of stuff, merit badges that they're taking, making sure that's all squared away. Make sure that they have a list of gear that they need to get so that they're not doing that last minute. You know, every first year scout typically brings the kitchen sink and everything else in between. And some of your more experienced scouts will end up just bringing, you know, a pair of jeans and a t-shirt and figuring that's all they need. So just work with your scouts to make sure that they understand exactly what they would need for the summer. With us providing the tents and cots and mattresses, that's kind of a convenience thing for your troop. So that way you don't have to bring your own tent and set that up and worry about cleaning them and drying them when you get back home. Work with your scouts on advancement, making sure that they understand, you know, they know what things that they need to do, you know, if they can get them done prior to or afterwards. Make sure all your payments are finalized on time. May 6th is the date for the final payments, so that's coming around here pretty quick. Remember to complete and make sure your scouts are working on getting their health forms completed. Those are found online. It's the national health form. When it gets closer to like 3 weeks before camp, make sure to get all the equipment ready you need. Now, you know, with Gerber, we do the Wednesday night family night, where a lot of troops do it like a potluck or what have you. It's a great opportunity to make sure that your parents are familiarized with what the expectations are before they leave for camp, so that you know what that planning is going to be. I know some troops end up doing like a fish fry or what have you, and so every troop does it a little different. But that's some of the equipment you want to make sure you have in your trailer and bring with you. Make sure all your health forms are done, you know, just before you get, you know, 3 weeks before you leave. And make sure that your transportation plans, that you get to the camp on time and you know when you got to leave and you know how many stops you need to make before you get there. And if you need to get stopped to get lunch before you show up, or if you need to stop to get lunch before you head home, you know, after you leave, before you get home. Make sure that parents know when you're actually getting home, so you're not stuck waiting around for a parent or two in a parking lot to come pick them up. Review your activity plans with the scouts on what merit badges they're going to take and what they're going to do and when they're going to do it. And make sure to provide them a map of camp so that they all have a map of where things are. And you might even want to highlight the different program areas that they have to get to, or their plans to travel. And then lastly, make sure that you cover any special needs, dietary needs or medical needs, or anything that you need to address before you get to camp. Prior to, the sooner that we know that information, the better we can provide service for you. If you show up to camp and that's the first time we hear of it, it's really hard for us to react to that. So the more we can communicate up front and ahead of time, the better we are. So I want to turn it over to you guys and hear kind of some of the things that you guys do in your units to help prepare your scouts before you get to camp. Like, do you do a camp out? Do you know, what kind of thing, what neat things do you do to help educate or prepare your scouts to have a legendary summer camp experience? And I can, if you put your put a little comment in the chat box, I'll call on you. While we're waiting for someone to pipe in, Steve, you asked about the mosquito nets. There in the trading post at the scout office, they sell them. It's called a mosquito oasis, and I think that they're like $45 or $40. And what's nice about them is that they collapse kind of like a wired pool float. I know it's kind of hard to explain, but that's probably the best one that I've seen out there. It's kind of nice because it's got pockets inside and a place to hang a light and what have you. But we will have some of those in the trading post in case you forget it, or you don't want to pick it up before you get there. So, but anybody have any suggestions on things that your troop has done in the past that really makes your all right, John Miller, what do you got?
Just a second, let me turn the vid back on for those who want to see my smiling face.
All right.
Our troop has historically, at least over the last 10 years, done a crossover camp out where we make sure that those who are new to the troop really get sort of inculcated with those tenderfoot skills that they're gonna need to have. And so we make sure that we get them in tents, that they are interacting with the people who are going to be the leadership at camp, even if that's not the normal leadership. And so they're used to responding. And of course, having it boy led really makes a big difference. I'm going to shut up now.
No, that's great. You know, what's cool too is if you can identify which scouts will be camping with which scouts, so they can start building that buddy system and talking about, all right, I'm going to bring a lantern. What are you going to bring? I'm going to bring this, or I'm going to bring that, or, you know, what have you. So anybody else have any, John, thank you so much for the suggestion. Anybody else have any other ideas or things that they do that they'd be willing to share? Steve, go ahead.
Yeah, typically what we do, I mean, from the beginning of crossover, we camp every month before summer camp as well. So any of our new scouts are getting well versed at being in tents. But for just the planning of the trip itself, you know, we have one parent that is responsible for making sure all the medical forms are up to date and ready to go. And she started doing that since the beginning of the year. And she's just waiting for this current roster to keep going after the parents to make sure everybody has their items. You know, myself, I'm doing the camp registration for the leaders this year. I've been doing it for the last couple of years. And then the Wednesday before the trip, we actually meet at one of our adult leaders' houses. We tell the boys, bring your gear of what you're going to bring for that summer camp. And the older boys go through it to make sure that they haven't missed any of the crucial items and make suggestions on stuff they may want to pick up before we leave.
Oh, that's phenomenal. That's really great. Mary, I'm gonna pick on you, Mary Thomasma, because you're working to bring some girls this summer, and I'm kind of curious as what have you been doing to help prepare your girls to come to camp this summer?
Well, our girls have been meeting the same time as the boys, so I've assigned, I shouldn't say I, but the scout masters, and I'm one of the assistant scout masters, have assigned some youth, some of the boy youth leaders. For example, my son Kevin, who's almost 18, he's been working with the girls, you know, on their basic, you know, tenderfoot skills, their different skills to kind of get them ready for camp, help them pick, you know, camp classes to take, you know, suggesting they choose together. But having the boys kind of guiding the girls has really helped them a lot.
That's great. You know, I remember back when my troop used to go to camp, and one of the things that we always did before we went to camp was we kind of created the duty roster before we even got there. You know, and kind of went through and making sure everybody knew what they had to do regarding each day, you know, like flags in camp, you know, putting the flags up, taking the flags down, you know, who's on duty for building the fire for which night, who's responsible for cleaning the latrine each day, who's responsible for doing the waitering system for each meal. All kinds of that kind of activity is, you know, the sooner you can communicate that, sometimes the better you are. And if kids have questions, about those kinds of activities, gives you an opportunity to have that conversation before you even get there. If a kid's not too familiar about or worried about being a waiter for one of the meals and doesn't have an idea what he's supposed to do, you can kind of have a little bit of that conversation and prepare him and his confidence to build him stronger when he gets there. Jim asked if we supply dining flies in each of the campsites. Yes, we do. There's typically about two dining flies in each campsite, sometimes more, depending on how many tents there are. So, Jim, did you have any other questions? No. Okay. Anybody else have any great ideas? These are really good. I appreciate all the ideas and suggestions. How does your troop handle preparation for leaving for camp? Is there anybody that would like to share on some of their practices or what they do to help make sure that the parents are familiar with what's going on and what their kids are going to be expecting at camp and what have you? Quiet crowd tonight. You guys are tough on me. Yes, departure from camp or to or from. Jim says the troop has never been to Gerber, trying to figure out what we don't need to bring, would like to leave the trailer at home. Is that suggested, or would it be best to bring it? It's always, Jim, it's always good to bring your trailer with you, just so you have that space for items or things that you need. On Wednesday nights, like I said, we do the family potlucks, so the troops are responsible for cooking their own dinner or providing their own dinner Wednesday night. Some of the troops will do a fish fry where they'll go down and catch a bunch of fish during the week, and do that up, or the troop will bring some items, or one of the adults will run into town and pick some stuff up. But yeah, I would suggest. John, did you have any comments about troop trailers?
Yeah. So, with the amount of baggage that comes with it, and the need for various troop equipment, as you say, for family stuff. I don't know where Jim's troop is coming from, but we've always found the trailer to be handy. Moreover, there are sometimes little projects that show up, and having that troop equipment is useful.
Yeah, making sure you have rope and all that kind of stuff to help build camp gadgets and what have you. I will
Plus, maybe a spare sleeping bag or two, especially if you got some younger scouts along. Not a bad thing.
Absolutely. I heard somewhere it's important. It's good to be prepared, but I don't know where I heard that from. So yeah, I think we kind of beat this pretty good. I appreciate all the comments and everything. I think that this is one of the most important pieces in my mind. Is the trek you take to and from camp, and because that's the opportunity where you as leaders have most of the control, and the better prepared you are, the better it goes, and the better experience your kids will have, and the more informed people are, it causes a lot less headaches and activities when you get into a bind. All right, I'm going to move on. Talk a little bit about in the guidebook. Here are the merit badges that have prerequisites. I would say if your boys are interested in working on some of these before they get to camp, I'd be more than happy to help provide, if you need to, lists of merit badge counselors that are in the President Ford region. If you're outside of the President Ford region, I would encourage you to talk to your program director of your field service counselor or your council to obtain lists of those merit badge counselors for some of those merit badges if your troop doesn't have a merit badge counselor in your troop to teach them. It's always good to try and have the kids work on these before they get there, because it starts to get their excitement up and gets them familiar with some of the activities, and instead of trying to do them after, because if they end up doing them after, sometimes they don't end up getting them done. As far as the aquatics training, Brian, I'll work on identifying if we are going to do the swimming and water rescue training. I don't have the answer right now. But again, a couple new merit badges that we're doing. Fly fishing is new. Forestry is new. Oceanography is new. And I can't remember if reptile and amphibian study is new or not, but those will be some new ones. I'm working on some cool outside things, like I talked to you before about the conservation training. I'm trying to get the group, the Trout Unlimited group, to come out and help do some experiences where the kids will learn how to tie flies straight from a professional fly tyers. Try and get some other folks in to help expand those merit badge opportunities and education things. So.
Ryan,
yeah, go ahead.
Real quick, so that list you have on our screen, those are the only merit badges that have prerequisites?
Based on the leader's guidebook that we had printed, unless I missed something, that's what I could tell.
Okay, that'll make it easier. I know I've sent it to my scouts already, but that'll make it easier just to double check to make sure the ones that do have prereqs to know what they are. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I did not put up there the prerequisites like must be a swimmer or that kind of stuff, but I just grabbed all the ones that that we had requirements identified next to them. Now, this next slide, I'm not 100% familiar on this just yet. Again, I'm new and I'm working on learning a lot of this stuff as I go. So you got to bear with me, but I did want to mention it and encourage you to start going around and start looking in there. Under your registration, there's a little button you can see up here under the Prepared for Life. It says reporting. Under that, you can get unit roster, payment allocations, class attendee schedule, attendee summary, period summary, yada, 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 all these cool reports for your reservation with camp. And I would encourage you to go in and look at those and work on getting some of those squared away in preparation for camp, so you become familiar with it. Again, after you leave camp, there's you see at the bottom here, there's a link on the forms and resource page. There is a there's a tool or a link that talks about after camp, post summer camp unit resources, which talks about how you can have, up to 7 years with that registration, you're able to go in and reprint off any blue cards or anything for your scouts for those merit badges. So that information is kept in Black Pug for 7 years. So say a kid goes to summer camp this summer, he doesn't complete a merit badge fully, make sure that before you leave, all the requirements are spot on with the reports that are in the system on Saturday and Friday before you leave, so that way, if you ever need to go back, you can go back in and print that scout's blue card off and redistribute it to them. Kim, did you have anything you'd like to share about the reports?
Mine wasn't about reports. Mine was about taking new troops to camp, because I have a new girls troop also. And I was just going to share what I had on that, but keep going. Yeah. I can fill in at the end.
Go ahead and share. What are you working on for your girls?
So mine are a lot of parents that are brand new to scouting. So I've been having like monthly meetings with them just to kind of bring them up to speed. And this month we're going to talk about summer camp. And I've printed a bunch of things, and just kind of the vernacular and what to expect is all new. Of my 11 girls, I think there's 5 new families that have never experienced scouting before. So we're just kind of talking through the parents also, not just the kids, because the kids don't always filter at home and the parents are the ones writing the checks. So we're kind of talking through it with them too. And then our boys troop has always made camp boxes that slide right underneath the beds. So we're sharing that also. And we really encourage boys and now the girls to just bring their camp box and get everything in it. Because if it's so nice on the trailer, and then if it rains or anything, everything is secure and there's nothing hanging out in a duffel bag that's getting wet. Because everyone knows always rains at camp.
That's really cool. So the boxes actually just slide underneath the cots and everything that
Yep.
That'd be neat if you can share with me any designs that you have for those. I'll bring it back to the next webinar and share that information with everybody.
Sure. One of the old dads did it probably 10 years ago. So it's like a pencil drawing that we've scanned and copied, but I'm more than happy to share it with you.
Yeah, just scan it in and email it over to me, and I'll bring it up to the next webinar. Bonnie, you had some insight to the reports?
Yeah, just what I said there. We find them very helpful. The leaders, each leader in camp gets a list of where each scout is supposed to be, each scout schedule, and then also a schedule by time period, so they know also where everybody's supposed to be. And then each scout gets their personal list, and then with a map on the back, so everybody knows where everybody's supposed to be.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, like I said, the more information you can share and be prepared ahead of time, the better off we're going to be. All right. Any other things regarding reports? No. Joe Singerling's on. He's our office manager for camp. Joe, would you mind sharing what your plans are for camp tours this summer or leading up to the summer?
Yeah, anybody that wants a camp tour can contact me and I'll make arrangements. I would assume most are going to be on a Saturday. The tour will take between 2 to 3 hours. We'll agree upon a date and time and when we can meet. I suggest any new leaders as well as new scouts and experienced scouts. Often on the tours I have the SPL, an assistant scoutmaster, a parent, and whatever other new scouts, and we'll go through and walk through the camp and walk and talk as we go.
Absolutely. Anybody have any questions about camp tours? Now, Joe, do you mind if I share your cell phone number to everybody, or how would you like them to contact you?
Yeah, my cell phone is actually off more than when I'm sitting in front of a computer, but you can share that. Otherwise, you can use the joe.scouting or joe.singerling@scouting.org, and I'll get back to you within a day as far as my availability or who might be giving you the tour, where we meet at the ranger shop, and approximate time.
Wonderful. Well, I just put that in the chat box, so if anybody needs that information, feel free to snag that. Again, it's joe.singerling@scouting.org. He's our office manager and one that is handling all of the DHS forms. Joe, did you want to touch on the DHS forms or that at all?
Well, we've got a little over 100 people that have sent me information, and I've been able to find most of them, and we have a hard copy. And as long as a hard copy is in MCC's hands, you don't have to apply for a new one. And so we're in pretty good shape now, but if you have any individuals who have been in the past to one of the MCC camps and you want to check to see that we've got a hard copy of their clearance, they can email me with their first and last name, your troop number, and I'll get back to you within a day. Otherwise, you can just spend the 50 some cents and mail it with a form, and then get it back in a week to 10 days. But sending it to me is free, and happy to do it.
Wonderful. All right. So again, Joe will look up in our laundry list of people to confirm or inform you which you need to do if you need to, if it's not submitted or it is submitted, if you don't remember submitting it. And if it's not there, you as an individual is responsible to get that form obtained and back to the camp or one of the camps or the office and get that done. Just so you're clear that Joe will not go out and submit your form for you. Looks like Steve, you put a possible Foot Locker on there. Do you want to talk about that at all?
Yeah, I've actually used this same Foot Locker for a telescope. It's pretty light, pretty roomy. Has wheels, so it's actually kind of a handy little tool. Just an option if somebody's not really crafty. This may work for them if they like the Foot Locker option.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing. So I just put that up on the screen real quick.
Real quick question about that. Those dimensions of that box fit underneath the cots?
I couldn't say because I don't recall how tall the cots are based off of this, but I know I have a fairly large that I use when I'm at camp that slides under the cot fairly well. But yeah, I just don't know how tall the cots are.
Ryan, is that something that you can find out, like the dimensions under the cots for us? Because if, I mean, when I opened that website, it said they're on sale for $10 a piece.
Yeah, I will check on that and see what I can bring back to the next roundtable.
Excellent.
Hey, Ryan.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Ryan, backing up a minute to camp tours.
Yeah.
We worked a circuit. We haven't been to Gerber now in 5 years. But we're coming from up to Grayling. So to drive down to do a 2-hour tour just doesn't seem practical to us. Tours will be available as we check in. You guys, will you do the normal tour of the camp for the kids to see where everything is at, or is that something we do need to do ahead of time?
Yeah, I mean, we'll give you a small tour. We won't have enough time to take you around to every single site. I mean, it does take a while to get out to the rifle range, the climbing tower, the cope course, the handicraft, aquatics, ERC, and all that stuff. So I mean, we'll hit some of the highlights. Where a lot of your first year scouts will probably end up going and doing, and take you through the dining hall and explain all that activity and whatnot. But you might want to make a camp out of it. You might want to schedule a time to go out camping at Gerber before you get there. If you got a place you're looking to camp this spring yet, and give Joe a call and do like a preparation shakedown for summer camp.
The problem is we do a spring scouting for food up here. So the next 2 weeks we're doing scouting for food on Saturdays. And we're actually camping after the second Saturday locally. But then we get into May and you get spring camporee and everything. And we actually come into camp first week of June, or the first week of camp.
Yeah.
So I don't see where we really have an open weekend.
We'll take care of you, Lauren.
Okay.
Okay. Joe, did you have something else?
Yeah, Lauren, we've got 2 weeks in June before you come, and we're not looking at necessarily bringing your whole troop, but as I said before, the newbies, as well as anyone else that's interested, will probably be able to help you out during those first 2 weeks of June.
Yeah, and I would suggest, Lauren, you connect with Joe offline to talk through that and see what you can arrange, if you want to arrange anything. Otherwise, we'll give you, we'll try and take care of you the best we can when you get there, and go from there. Brian, what's this about 11-inch? Okay, well, we're gonna move on. So lastly, I want to talk about provisional scouting. You know, this is a great opportunity if your scouts decide they'd like to come back for a second week, or you have scouts that have to go to band camp and they can't come with your troop. If you notice there, Gerber is providing provisional scouting every week except for week 2, which is June 22nd through 29th. Week 2 is full, so we can't add any more. But all those other weeks, we're going to have volunteer leadership for scouts that want to come to camp without their troop, or any scouts that they want to come back for a second week. If they come back for a second week, the price is reduced to $199 for the full week registration. If you can, go to this link under the Outdoor Adventures page. If you were to go to this and you scroll down to Scout BSA Summer Camp, see how this provisional camper pops up just to the right? If you click on that, it'll take you to the page where you can sign up as a provisional scout. And our summer camp registrar, Bill Light, will work with you to get your registration squared away. You basically go down here under provisional camper and you fill out this form, and then we get in touch with you and square away everything that you need from there. This is a great opportunity again for those scouts that decide, hey, I want to earn a couple more merit badges this summer, or hey, our family's doing a family vacation and we can't go, but I'd really like to go to camp, and great way to expand that opportunity. So I'd encourage you each to take this information back to your scouts so you can work to get a larger group of scouts to camp this summer. All right, now we're going to go around the room. Any final comments or questions? Jim, or Paul, I'll start with you.
No, I'm good, thanks.
Absolutely. Jim, I know you don't have a mic, but do you want to chat in any questions or final comments? All right, thank you, Jim. Don H.
No, I'm all set, Ryan. Thank you.
All right. Claver. Claver.
I am all good. Thank you.
Absolutely. Jerry, you still don't have a mic. Lauren, any final questions, comments, or concerns? Lauren Goodale? Okay, move on to John Miller. Any final comments, questions, or concerns?
Yeah, thanks, Ryan, for running these. This is an excellent communication venue that's convenient to a lot of people, and I think informative. Tell your boss.
Well, I appreciate that. I mean, last year I've heard a lot of things about how we didn't do a good job of communication. So I'm trying to set the bar high for the next generation of Gerber, and provide as much opportunity to at least communicate, even if the communication is not, even if I can't answer the question, at least we're talking, right? And we're sharing what things need to be addressed before we get there. Lauren, I saw you jump back on. Did you have any questions, concerns, or anything?
I don't know if you can hear me or not. This is Lauren Goodale. I finally figured out how to talk to you again. I'm all set. Thanks.
All right, thank you, sir. Kimberly.
I'm all good, thank you. This has been great.
Wonderful. Mary.
No further comments. Thank you.
Wonderful. There's somebody that's on an iPhone that's labeled iPhone. I'm going to unmute you. I can't unmute you. You have to unmute yourself.
I'm good, thank you.
All right, great. Thank you. Bonnie, any other further questions, comments, or concerns?
No questions. I just want to echo also that these webinars are excellent communication. I appreciate all your efforts in improving camp. Thank you, Ryan.
You're welcome. You're all welcome. We'll only get there together. You know, there's no me and team, or I and team. It's all of us together. So I'm wondering if that's Bo Williams.
No questions, thank you.
All right, Mr. Ruskolski, any questions, comments, or concerns? All right. Well,
Sorry about that. It took me a while to find the mute button. No, I just want to thank you, Ryan, for putting this information on, and we'll make sure that we're doing the best we can to make sure everyone has a great experience in 2019.
absolutely. Thank you, Russ. So for those of you that are on the call that don't know Russ, Russ is our program chairman for the MCC. He's done a lot to help us move the ball forward and help build the summer camp program at Gerber stronger. Working really hard behind the scenes, and we appreciate all you do, Russ. So thank you very much. Kevin Reed, did you have any final questions, comments, or concerns?
I'm all set, thanks.
All right, great. Becky.
I'm all set, thanks, Ryan.
Absolutely. Joe Singerling.
All good.
Thank you, sir. Steve S.
Yeah, on our last meeting, I had mentioned that I was making a kind of a cheat sheet for parents to sign up their kids' merit badges. You asked for a copy of that. I did send it. I just wanted to confirm if you received that or not.
I did not, unless I missed it. Why don't you resend it to me again? I'll put my email address back here in the chat box so that everybody has that. Anything else, Steve, that you wanted to share?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Absolutely. Brian, Brian Boyer, any final comments, questions, or concerns?
Nope, I'm all set. These webinars are great, though. They're very helpful to everybody.
Wonderful. I appreciate it. Joel Shoemaker. Looks like Joel just.
Hey. Ryan, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yep.
All right. You made some huge strides to fix where we were last year. Webinars have helped, but you being in the experience that you had has been huge. The trading post thing that you talked about tonight, what a great difference you're going to make in the experience for the adults and for the kids. Open them windows back up, keep the kids outside that are buying the candy and pop. They'll get out of there quicker. People on the inside will actually be able to buy stuff for Gerber. They'll get out of there quicker. Just little things like that to make the experience so much better compared to where we've been the last couple of years are huge. Thanks for taking on this position. Thanks for trying to get us back to where we belong.
Thank you, Joe. I'll tell y'all, we're not there yet, right? So, we're working as hard as we can to make sure it's going to be 100, as close to 100% as we can. I can't promise everything, but at least we're moving the ball forward. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate you guys coming on a Sunday night and spending some time with me and sharing your thoughts and suggestions. There's a couple more phone numbers I need to catch. There's a 231-286-3473. If you hit the *6, you'll unmute yourself and you can share what.
Hey, Ryan, this is Brad Schaefer. I'm all set. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Brad. Okay. And then the last one's 616-255-3513. Again, if you hit *6, you can unmute yourself and share if you'd like to. All right, seeing we got through everybody again. I can't tell you how much I appreciate everyone and what they do, not only in their troop, but to help prepare us for a legendary summer camp experience this summer. Our next roundtable will be May 5th at 8 p.m. again, same time, same location, same call-in, same bat channel, basically. Thank you all for what you do and helping us prepare for camp, and we'll see you all in a month. Bye now.